Today's episode is a real treat for me. I'm joined by one of my favorite people, my dear friend Wendy Lambourne. Wendy is the founder of LegitimateLeadership, and she works with enterprises to help them with organizational transformation. Join us as we delve into her insights on ethical leadership and its benefits to organizations.
Hello.
How are you, Wendy?
I'm very well, and thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for being here. You're one of my favorite people, as you know.
And we have a mutual admiration society, we also know.
And I'm already salivating at the prospect of what's going to come out today. So
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Super.
Cool. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Wendy Lambourne. Do you want to hear me a little bit from a personal point of view?
Yes, please.
So you probably can tell from the accent I'm not South African. I'm actually Zimbabwean, and what you're hearing is a Zimbabwean accent. But I came down to South Africa in the inauspicious year of 1976.
Just so everybody understands, the Zimbabweans, I've taken Wendy, so she's mine now. You don't get to keep.
Anyway, why was on June the 16th, which was yesterday, is Soweto Day, it was initially called. Anyway, I went to university here, initially in KZN, then up in Johannesburg at a business school for a year, then left, and I got a job. And I progressed from a study permit to a work permit to permanent residence to finally I became a South African citizen in 1987, married a South African, and the rest is history.
You
Lived
did
here
what all
along.
foreign nationals do. You take our men, you take our jobs.
Yeah, few things haven't changed, have they? Right, so that was me, I guess, just from a background point of view. And then Mandisa, it wasn't my first job, but literally my second job. I was employed by a company called, at the time, AECI. I was employed at Modderfontein, which is where the Johannesburg explosives factory is based.
Yeah.
At the time, the biggest commercial explosives factory in the world. And I worked there for almost 3 years, and then I took a one-way ticket to India.
Yeah.
And they said to me, my employer, no, just go for 3 months and we'll hold your job. I said, no, thank you, I'll come back when I want to.
Yeah.
And I came back 2 years later, having traveled, when I say the world, primarily Asia and the Middle East, including China. And I worked on a project which was called the Joint Management Development Program, which was an extremely good project for accelerating the development of Black South African managers who were currently sort of middle manager and helping progress and accelerate their progress into more senior jobs. And then I got approached and ACI said, would you like to come home?
Yeah.
I said, oh, yes, please. Okay. So it was my second stint.
Yeah.
And I was there for, I think, a total of 15 years. And I mean, this is actually relevant to what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Literally, it was early 1990s. And I, at the time, was called the Works Human Resources Manager in a factory, manufacturing facility. And our company had just been bought by a UK-based company. And within months, and I mean months of them buying us, we had 2 separate explosions which killed 14 people. I mean,
a whole 2 in months.
Yeah, almost back to back.
Wow.
And I mean, the one was a result of nitroglycerine, which is obviously an entirely volatile substance. But, and needless to say, we never used that substance again. Anyway, so our new owners did not waste a minute. They came out to South Africa and they said, listen, you need to understand something. We in ICI, as they were called, we don't kill people.
Yeah.
So we don't care that you've got 87% of the market and you're 130 years old. Fix this or we close you down.
Yeah.
They got back on a plane and went back to the UK. And we, to this day, I still remember as the management team, we were sitting around a table and we worked out fairly obviously, if you've got a safety problem, you've got a people problem.
Yeah.
Because 85% of all accidents are caused either by people doing what they shouldn't do or not doing what they should do.
Yeah.
But then there was the light bulb moment. But hold on, if you've got a people problem, you haven't got a people problem, you've got a leadership problem.
Yeah.
In other words, we were the problem.
Look in the mirror.
Oh, goodness me. And so what we set out to do, we set out to change ourselves. Okay. And that was pretty good logic because ever since we've discovered the cause and effect chain works, leadership or leaders change, then their people change, then and only then do you get a different outcome.
Yeah.
But we thought, what leadership framework can we embrace? And we embraced this particular framework, which was in its infancy back then. And we called it, so the basic principles were there. And we called it our golden thread. Yeah. And throughout those 3 years, we kept going back to it, And this is it's an absolutely true story that 3 years later now, after 14 fatalities, we were then acknowledged to be the safest commercial explosives factory in the world.
And this is in 3 years?
In 3 years.
Serious transformation in what is a very short amount of time if you think about everything that you had to change.
Absolutely.
To get that right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what was this program? What was it doing that enabled you to make such a drastic change?
Well, and I'm sure that's what we're going to talk about now. Mm-hmm. It essentially replaced, I think, the stereotypical, still 80% of companies practice a command and control type of leadership. Mm-hmm. What this framework in its essence was about, this is ethical leadership. Yeah. It's not about trying to command people or control them through the use of sticks and carrots. Yeah. And so, the firm belief actually is that it's about an ethical approach. And Sylvania and I were just talking on the way here. I wrote an article a little while ago called Legitimate Leadership and Ethical Leadership. Yeah. Okay. i.e. they're one and the same thing. Yeah. And we've had the most staggering number of reactions and comments on this. Yeah. In other words, this is now a theme for the world. We all know if you don't have ethical leadership, you don't have legitimacy as leaders. Yeah. So I then left the company because I was so convinced by the framework. And that was in 1995 and spent the last 30 years now literally working with this framework all over the world, not just in South Africa. I think on last calling 27 different countries. Mm-hmm. And the thrilling thing we have found is, although this is a South African originated framework, proudly South African. Yeah. We always joke about saying deeply rooted because it came out of research into the South African gold mining industry. Yeah. 3.8 kilometers underground,
Yeah.
deepest gold mines in the world. But what we found, it's absolutely universal. And Sweden, Kenya, China, India, everywhere, Germany, everywhere where we have worked, it resonates.
Yeah. And what is it about the framework that makes it so resonant?
So resonate because, and so maybe just go back to what the research was all about, was when there were all this conflict. This is the late 1980s in the gold mining industry. So management and employee relations.
It's just so surprising to hear that such a progressive framework could come out of that kind of industry.
And this was, 30 years ago, okay? And, part of the concern was that because there was such bad relationships between management and employees, this was evidenced by strike after strike, many of which were violent, and people got killed. So there is an employers' organization. It's no longer called the Chamber of Mines, but it was back then. And they commissioned some research. And it was basically about, can you please find out why we keep having these horrible strikes? And they decided, and again, this is a central theme. Well, hold on, how do you measure any relationship? Surely you measure trust in the relationship. Bingo. So they went out into the mining industry, and this was 70,000 miners that they spoke to in person, because, we didn't even have computers then, more or less. So this was boots on the ground and boots underground. And they asked one question. The question was, do you trust the management on this mine? Okay. Put it on a scale. Plus 21, we trust them totally. Minus 10, we don't trust them an inch. Prediction, we're going to get everything 0 and below. Wasn't this the first surprise? No, we didn't. Trust varied. Not only from mine to mine, but even from shaft to shaft on every mine. And, Mandisa, 30 years on, because we've repeated this trust research in many contexts, trust always varies. So this was good news. My God, we can still have people who trust us even in the late 1980s, management. But why? So all the normal suspects, if I can put it that way, surely it's pay. Pay them more and they'll trust you more. What about working conditions? What about living conditions? Because this was migrant laborers. No, that didn't matter. How's about if it's unionized? No different. Some of the mines that were totally unionized trusted management more. Oh, I know, it must be the human resources policies, or maybe it's how good management communicates. Zero connection. The only connection, literally, was between the degree we trust management and the size of the people function.
Ouch.
No, and we do know, yes, ouch, and we know why. Because when you outsource the people function, the people to the people function, and the bigger the people function, guess what? It's only managers who are there to do this, looking after their people. People trust management less.
Cool.
So they asked another question. If trust has changed in the last month, not last month, last 12 months, if it's improved, why? If it's deteriorated, why? And that's when the answer came. The answer was as simple as this. We trust you to the degree to which we are convinced. You can't tell us this. We're convinced that essentially you have a genuine concern with the well-being of your people. So, and how do we know that? We know that because whenever we take our problems to you, do you suspend your agenda for ours? Do you listen? And do you try and do something about it?
Yeah.
And we coined then, actually, the only issue, the core issue on which all of this stands is, we called it intent, intent or motive.
Yeah.
And very simply, Mandisa, and you know this, it's kind of, are you in the relationship with your people to give to them or to get something out of them?
Yeah. And what does that look like for our viewers, Wendy? How
Yeah.
do you determine when a leader is taking and when they're giving?
Your intent
You just told us now that giving people high increases and big salaries was not very healthy.
This is not very healthy, okay? And we would argue that the most obvious thing about you as a human being, this is why this model is universal, is your intent. You give away your intent in every moment.
Yeah.
Okay. But building on this, and you're quite right. So if the giver's not money, then what is it? Okay. So even further realization, because we then started to ask people, so describe the ideal manager.
Yeah.
The person that you would work for willingly. Now, by that I mean not just you tell me to do something and I do the bare minimum. Yeah. I will go above and beyond. And the answer to that question we've also discovered is universal. The answer to that question is, I will only work willingly for you if you do two things for me, two drops of essence. You care about me as a human being, not a human resource.
Yeah.
And it's an and, it's not an or. And you grow me, or if you like, you enable me to become the best that I can possibly be.
Yeah.
Full stop. We've never, ever had a different answer to this. And we've asked semi-literate people on South African gold mines. It's care and growth. Yeah. They may not say it in a very articulate way. You can ask the CEO of a global telecommunications company in Thailand, who would I work for willingly? Somebody who cares for and grows me.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, in essence, so if you want your people to trust you, you don't have to pay them more. Yeah. All you have to do is care for them and grow them.
Okay. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. And by the way, that's every single manager needs to do this. And so it's literally, they will only be convinced when managers across the organization are actually fulfilling these criteria.
True. Quite a tough standard.
An impossible standard. Okay. But, people have, how can I put it, basically, and this is an interesting thing. When we first started doing this and we went out to companies and said, well, first of all, it was very difficult to get in the door those days. But eventually when we got inside and we would say, this is about intent or motive. Yeah. You've got to put your people's interests before your interests. They would look at us at the time and say, what have you been spoken?
Yeah. I honestly, Wendy, I imagine that you still get that kind of thing. Because why would I prioritize your interest over the business interest?
Well, yes, but hold on. So it was a total what do you mean? Yeah. And we said, no, the best way to have your interests served is not to pursue your interests. Yeah. It's to pursue your people's interests. Yeah. They said never.
Yeah.
And we said to them, but think about it. What's the instinctive natural response to being given to? Answer, give back.
Yeah.
Still didn't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So as time went by, and I'm going now to about 2010, I was in Chicago, actually, and I was running a workshop, the ones you've done, as you know. And we spoke about the fact that if you want people to trust you, etc., it's got to be care and growth. And this senior guy follows me out the door.
Yeah.
And I thought, what's he after? And he says, Wendy. I said, yeah. He said, what you say, I mean, I get it. I totally resonate with it. I agree with it.
Yeah.
So I said, so? So he says, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
How do you care for and grow people? And that's when I realized two things, Mandisa. However many years we are now later, I think this whole concept of put your people first is no longer foreign.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of people still don't believe it. But the question we get asked nowadays, far more than, why should we put our people's interests first, is tell us how to do that.
Yeah. I have a memory of one of the leaders at one of the companies where your team assisted us to implement legitimate leadership. And when Josh spoke about care, and they were like, huh?
What's this soft and fluffy thing?
No, but they were also saying, imagine, this was a gentleman, by the way, very senior, a gentleman. I go to my wife and I'm talking about the day and I keep telling her I care for Mandisa. Surely that's a problem for my wife and I can't wrap my head around it either.
In other words, they don't get it. Yeah, so maybe, Mandisa, we can talk about what is care in due course. Yeah.
In fact, I want you to also talk. I remember a story that you told me once about this gentleman at one of your clients that was talking about greeting the employees. You mean I have to talk to people? You tell it so much better. You should.
No, this is the story. So, and it was Ian, my partner, and he's running this workshop, and this guy puts up his hand. Sorry, because this is South Africa, and we say sorry. So the guy says, so he's the production manager, and he walks through his factory to go to his office in the morning. He says, are you telling me that I need to say hello? So Ian sort of says, yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. He says, oh, all right. Puzzled look. Sorry, second question. You mean every day? Ian says, yes, every day.
What a mission.
No, and I've been in factories where I've watched at a shift turnover, a manager coming in and literally walking through, not even not saying hello, not even looking. It's like, I don't see these people, I only see the machines.
And we are in South Africa. For us, that's like, why aren't, in fact, I remember once sitting in one of the companies that I used to work for when I was still in corporate, and a shop steward coming to my office and asking me, Mandisa, please educate your leaders. He can't walk past us and not greet us. It was such an issue. It had to be the subject of a shop steward management meeting that this gentleman doesn't greet us. This is unacceptable. So it's like, you don't see me. How do you do that? How do you just walk past me like that?
Yeah, and listen, I mean, now I'm really making an admission. When back in those days at this explosives factory, when for the first time people were unionized, and we sat down with the union and we said, what do you want? And I mean, I'm so ashamed. They said, would you mind, instead of having our company number 155620 on our overalls, you were actually, can we have our name there?
Wow.
So, that must be the worst example of seeing people as a means to an end that I think I've ever come across.
Yeah. Talk about caring for me as a human rather than a human resource.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge me. Give me a name.
Yes, and this is an in-joke between you and I. We no longer call ourselves, or the people, human resources, which says it all, because what do we do with a resource but use it, consume it and exploit it. They're now human.
We sweat it.
And it gets even worse. They're our greatest assets, but guess what? They're now also our greatest costs.
Yeah.
So, and we've, I'm sure you've seen this, we only have chief people officers. Okay. We've changed the label, we're still treating them like human resources.
Yeah. It's not in the name, guys.
Yeah, change the label, but don't change what's inside.
Continue as you were. No difference at that level. Okay, so Wendy, one of the other things, that I'm thinking here is caring for somebody and growing them may at times contradict each other. How do you reconcile the two in terms of the framework?
Okay, that's a beautiful one. So, care means caring for you as a human being, not a human resource. Growth means, and by the way, someone said to me once, these care and growth words are wrong, because I said, why? They said, because people think care means, forgive me all of my sins, let me get away with blue murder.
Yeah.
So someone said to their manager, you can't discipline me. He said, why?
Not if you care for me.
Not if you care for me. And people think the growth element means accelerate my progress up the hierarchy. So if you haven't promoted me in the last 6 months, you clearly don't care about me. Yeah. Okay. And clearly growth doesn't mean that either. It means enabling people to become the best they can be.
Yeah.
So we have also asked, which of these two is primary? Because remember, you need both.
Yes.
And we are absolutely and totally convinced that care is primary.
Yeah.
Okay. And, these criteria pertain to all relationships of power, including parent-child.
Yeah.
So why do parents spank, or they don't spank them anymore, discipline their children?
Yeah.
Because they love them.
Yeah.
Okay. The gardener prunes the rose.
Just out of control, to be fair.
Yeah. Yes, no, someone said to me, this whole thing, let me tell you, Wendy, doesn't work at home.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so care is primary, okay. But it's not, how can I put it? It's not on its own. So this care and growth criteria, we like to call it, it's actually tough love. Okay. Yeah. And can I tell you a quick story about this bank in Savannah, Georgia? Phenomenally successful. Every single quarter, the results are better and better. So these consultants arrive on the scene, because consultants come when you've got a problem because they can make money out of that, or if you're doing something brilliantly, they can pinch your ideas and repackage them. So they knock on the door and they said, hello.
Is that what you do, Wendy?
Yeah.
Because you are a consultant,
Oh, Only occasionally. Anyway, so they arrive and they go to this guy and they say, you just are so successful. Can you, why? And he says, I can't do the American accent, but he says it's love. So these guys are in pinstripe suits, okay, and they've got spreadsheets, and you can't put love into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So he said, but don't take my word for it, it is true that in this company, we care for each other.
Yeah.
If somebody's got a sick child or whatever, we know, and genuinely we're concerned. Mm-hmm. But go and speak to whoever you like.
Yeah.
So 3 days later, they come back and they say, it's amazing. Everyone we spoke to, they said it's love. But we're terribly confused. And
they were well trained?
Well, it depends how cynical you are. But anyway, so they said, but what we can't understand is everywhere on flip charts, etc., we see 100/0.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So the CEO says, no, that means 100% responsibility, no excuses. Mm-hmm. And they said, oh, so how's that work? He said, joke, I said love, I should have told you it was tough love.
Yeah. You've just made me remember another example of when we've implemented this framework at one of the companies I've worked for. And the significance of what you said earlier, that the leaders have to lead the way in terms of making the shift and the employees will follow. Mm-hmm. So obviously when we implement, we start with the leaders for exactly that reason, right? But to equip the leaders with the tools, and as you know, it's not just the theory. You give people the time to go apply and then come back, review, give feedback and all of that.
Yeah.
But part of the problem that we would encounter with the leaders, that whole bastardization of that care thing, particularly when you go into the details around providing means and all of that. And the one leader, in explaining why he wasn't holding his team accountable, explained that, but the means are not all in place. Therefore, I'm not going to hold them accountable. It would be unfair to hold them accountable. So their understanding of the framework was that the environment, the means have to be 100%, if not more, in place before anybody could be held accountable.
Yeah.
But that was really his own lack of courage in dealing with the things that he needed to deal with, quite frankly.
Yep. I know. And we'll talk about courage again, I've no doubt.
Yeah.
But Mandisa, maybe just to add a little bit to what you say. So we've got care. We know what that is. Yeah. The growth is growing, empowering people, enabling them to make a contribution and become the best that they can be. Mm. And, if we use the analogy of don't give a person a fish, teach them to fish, so they can feed themselves and their family, sort of for a lifetime. What does the fisherman need to become this fisherman? He needs the means to fish, the tools, the rod, the hook, the line, the sinker, etc. And I always say, and in this country, a six-pack, because they come nowhere near you without. That's right. And then the second criteria is they're not going to be able to do this if they can't. So we need to address ability through training and coaching. Fine. And then we say to them, so let's say, because we think there's a third piece to this. You've done this. You've given the guys all the means. You've given them the ability, etc. But they come to your house at the end of the day, obviously having drunk their six-pack, and says, we didn't catch any today. Yeah. And I say to them, don't worry, because I've got a deep freeze full of fish. You can have some of mine. Yeah. Question, have I empowered them? No. Yeah. What have I taken away? Their desire or willingness to fish. Yeah. So the third and vital element, which you have just said, is Having given the means and the ability, now you have to hold them accountable. And accountable means, in the fishing example, oh dear, I didn't catch any fish today. Oh, sorry about that. Starve. Accountability is consequence. You see, it keeps coming back to tough love, doesn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Yes, so what you're really saying is this individual didn't get that either.
Yeah. And by didn't get that, it's really, I mean, your team does a great job of teaching us these principles. But sometimes we take what is convenient out of us. If you haven't bought into it with your heart, it doesn't matter what you know academically, cognitively. And if you don't buy it, you're not going to do it. And that's why, for me, it's very important. When picking leaders, I always say to organizations, don't inflict your ineffective leaders on your poor teams, man. It's the most painful thing you can do to anybody. It's actually quite rude.
No, and I mean, I love the way, Mandish, you put your hand on your heart, because care and growth do not come from here. They reside in the heart. Courage sits in the heart, the brave heart. And so obviously there's care and love.
Let's talk about courage in the context of legitimate leadership. What does it mean?
It means many things. So
I remember the first time you talked to me about it and what you called it.
Are we allowed to say that?
Allowed to say that, absolutely. That's why I'm reminding you of that conversation.
Okay, well, I hope everyone gets the joke. But there's another word for courage. It's called testicular fortitude. In other words, balls. And I know we've joked to say, guess who often has more testicular courage? Not the people with the testicular.
Not the physical ones.
So, I think you can demonstrate courage, and I'll just give you a few examples. Growth or empowerment means you hand over not only authority, but you give up control. Okay, and all controls are there to ensure a predictable outcome. So when you hand over, you take a risk. Okay, you need to be brave to take a risk with your people. That would be one example. The second would be it takes courage, for example, to share the financial information. How well are we doing as a company? Okay. And because, again, companies fear that if you share the information, this information will be used against you. Okay, now...
Give me a bonus. You're making money.
Well, here is another company that they went and they decided they'd never shared financial information, so they would do it. So they went out and they shared the numbers, and this... They absolutely expected the union would say, oh, you're just softening us up because we're going to retrench you, or we're going to tell you now why we can't give you an increase. Okay. But they said, no, we're going to share and we're going to keep sharing. Okay. And we always wondered, so when did they finally trust management's intent? When the company went from loss to initially break even, and then to highly profitable, and they kept sharing the information. In other words, you can't be honest when it suits you and not honest when it does. So for me, that's another example. A third example, and the most obvious one, is holding people to account. Okay. And holding people accountable has this spectrum, as we know, of negative accountability, which is discipline, censure, positive accountability, praise, and reward.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it takes immense courage to even censure people, I mean, reprimand people, let alone actually discipline them.
Yeah.
Okay. That's obvious. But I think it also takes courage to praise and reward people, because in terms of the framework, if you're doing this right, not everybody gets the same. And you know how rare that is, not to differentiate.
Yeah.
So if you differentiate, and let's say you are one of the people, and I say to you, you know, Mandisa, I mean, listen, you did a good job and very grateful for it. But the truth of the matter is you didn't really go above and beyond. So the bonus, you're not getting any of it. The person who's going to get the bonus is CPIP, not you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know how reluctant managers are to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I bet this is all your experience too.
No, absolutely. In fact, I'm thinking of a particular example of one of my former CEOs who was so taken with your framework that she implemented what she referred to as the Givers Awards. And we would have town halls where she would recognize, you know, people that met the criteria of what being a giving employee meant. The first time we did that at the town hall.
And this was not just leaders, giving leaders?
No, everybody, all employees.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, and everybody could nominate, but there was justification, and then if there was alignment with everybody, then that person, and it was evidence-based as well.
How wonderful.
First time we did that, and we did the announcement after the town hall. I get the unions in my office. Mandisa, we don't like this Givers Awards thing. Why? No, you isolating us. We didn't get anything. It was like, now, as you know, I mean, you've got the Employee Excellence Program, which, you know, we'd implemented that. Criteria is quite clear. It's not a social grant scheme, guys. You actually have to qualify. You have criteria that you must meet, and you didn't meet them. It's really as simple as that. The other side of the courage equation is what you refer to as generosity. Please talk to us about that.
Right. So you're quite right. We say if giving, we know what that is, but there are two types of giving, generosity and courage. And we've spoken about courage. Generosity, and I mean, any form of giving means that you've got to put something at risk. When we talk about courage, you're putting yourself on the line. When we're talking generosity, we're saying you're putting things associated with yourself on the line. And again, some examples for that would be, I'm giving you, well, probably more than anything else, I'm giving you my time. Okay. Care and growth does not cost money, but it costs time. I'm listening to you. I am genuinely concerned about if you have difficult personal circumstances. Where does that, I worry, I genuinely am concerned about you. Praising people is a generous act. Because many leaders think, well, I pay them. Why must I actually thank them as well?
I have to greet them in the morning.
This is getting worse and worse, isn't it?
Now I have to praise them.
So I would say, how's that for a few ideas? And again, it's not about money. Generous does not mean that you pay them a lot or give them a big bonus.
Okay. Talk to us about maturity.
How would I put it this way? Okay. If you think about maturity, we all start out life totally immature, day one. And we mature or we don't mature over our lifetimes, however long the lifetime is going to be. And again, our definition of maturity would be as people mature, they develop an increasing capacity to give unconditionally.
Yeah.
And, unlike the aging process, which I'm very familiar with, that's obligatory.
Yeah.
Maturation is not.
Yeah.
And that means you can have mature souls, literally people in their mid-30s, and then you can get people in their 70s who go to their grave still fundamentally immature. So the real product of legitimate leadership is, I would like to say, mature souls.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to actually enable through this process. And in fact, all those years ago in the explosives factory, our CEO at the time, when he was asked, what did this actual implementation of this kind of philosophy and practice do for you? And everybody thought he'd say, it turned us into the safest commercial explosives factory in the world. And he thought about it, and I can still to this day, get goosebumps. He said, you know what it really did for us? It unleashed a spirit of generosity and courage in our people we had hitherto not thought was possible.
That is huge.
It is huge. And I mean, I always say to people, so tell me, do you want to work in a company where everybody's greedy and fearful?
Yeah.
Or one where everybody's generous and courageous?
Yeah. No, thank you. And we mentioned briefly earlier the Employee Excellence Program. Please tell us about that.
Started out and it was the leadership stuff. And as you well know, we try and start at the very, very top. And we go through all levels of leadership because you need legitimate, and legitimacy comes from care and growth. You need legitimate relationships throughout the hierarchy.
Yeah.
But many years ago, this client of mine said, but hold on, Wendy, there's only 20% of most companies are leaders, people in leadership roles. How about the 80%? We need something for them. And I thought about this and I thought, the intent problem is true for them too.
You've got amazing clients. You must thank that client for me. I didn't realize
I'll tell you who it is in a moment. So I think to myself, at an extreme, an employee I'm here to take, how can I do as little as possible today without being fired? To the giver, how can I go above and beyond today in service of a client or a customer, internal or external? So the employee excellence thing is enabling this shift from taking to giving as well.
Yeah.
And the person who said, I must do this, is someone you know, Leonie van Tonda.
Ah, nice.
And we first of all called it, lovely, we called it Grow to Care.
Yeah.
And it started as the one-day session that you know about, and you gifted everybody in your last organization throughout the entire company to go through it.
Yeah.
But subsequently we developed these further application modules and reviews. So identical process, obviously same essence of content, but slightly different.
Yeah, and you correctly call it I gifted, because it really is a gift.
Yeah.
To this day, I get people, the beneficiaries of that program, call me, and they haven't grown just from an work perspective. They grow as people as well. The leadership one also does the same. I personally, am a better person because of it. So thank you. for the work that you've done.
Yeah. No, I'm afraid we've even had people say, the leadership stuff was okay, but I mean, we really only got the value when we went on to employee excellence.
Yeah, and I get that because it's the numbers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And what I also found, by the way, when the employees went through this, they held the leaders accountable. So even the leaders that weren't ready to make the shifts that they needed to as quickly as we needed them to, they actually moved quicker because employees were now exposed to the employee excellence program. So the benefits for me are just revolutionary.
Yes, you may be surprised, but now they're going to expect you to care and grow them.
Absolutely, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You said you wanted to be a leader, right?
Well, let's use this lovely analogy, because we've said this applicable in all relationships. Okay. Now, mums and dads love their children unconditionally.
Yeah.
And guess what? The children expect nothing less.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they should. And this is a personal view. I think we have got a leadership crisis in the world today. And the crisis is that people in authority, they're just not living up to the criteria of care and growth.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes parents, it's teachers, it's managers in the workplace, it's governments, we don't want to go there.
Yeah. We're not going to go there. We simply don't have enough time. Leadership is challenging enough. And Wendy, one of the other things I love about it is, we talk about trust. And it's easy to be flippant about it, and just pass through it. But what trust buys you when it's in place, it even buys you the ability to grow the person, challenge a person, tell them the negative stuff. You talk about the parent-child situation. My daughter, my son, they will never question anything I do in the discipline area because they trust, they take for granted that I adore them. Right, and you have an analogy actually that you use as well about the tsotsi and the doctor.
Oh yes. Well, that's
surgeon.
Too much. But maybe just from an organisational point of view, we say actually, okay, quickly. I was asked to speak at a conference in London, and I asked the audience, what do you think is the biggest leadership issue in the world today? Don't tell us, just write it down. And then at the end I said, did any of you write down trust in us? Okay, of course no one had. And then I said, but trust is everything. Okay, because when your people trust you, then they won't just do the minimum, they'll go above and beyond. There's the link between trust and willingness. Secondly, there's a link between, and what organizations are not going through mammoth transformation nowadays. If your people trust you, you can take them, or they'll come with you through radical change. If they don't trust you, or worst, they totally distrust you, you won't even get a shift change across the line. And thirdly, and most importantly, is, I guess, when there's trust, it's not only between management and employees, it's actually between employees. In other words, what trust fosters is collaborative relationships instead of relationships which are prone again in workplaces where people inside the company are competing with each other instead of collaborating. So, once again, it's this thing I always say of, you're doing this sometimes just because it's the right thing to do, but because, believe me, the results get better and better and better when you actually cultivate trust in your organization.
Mm-hmm. Have you found that your framework is more successful in some contexts and not others? And if so, what context? What enables success?
Yeah. Great question, Mandisa. We have certainly found that it works anywhere. It's got no relationship to industry, to country, to an organization where, let's say, trust is abysmal, can work there. It can also work where trust is already extremely high. And we had this client in Germany, and I said to them, I don't know if this can help you. I mean, you're so good already. And I'll never forget, they said, yes, no, we are, but we can be even better.
Wow.
And they've just been rated the top performing country out of 27 countries in the group.
Wow.
And they attribute that partly to how they've improved from a leadership point of view.
Stunning.
Where it doesn't work is in the following situations. Number one is if the company, it's not a people problem, it's a strategy problem or an operational problem, because this doesn't fix strategy. It's not applicable if what you've got is, ability problem is not difficult, but genuinely there's a lack of capability.
Yeah.
Because the framework assumes capability.
Yes.
The third one, and I've never known how to put this tactfully, so I won't. Yeah. It doesn't work when the leadership is morally suspect.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is an ethical framework.
Yeah, true.
And the final one is, there's no point doing this if, in fact, you believe you've arrived. I mean, you're so arrogant that, quite frankly, you think you've got there already.
Great.
Yeah.
True.
And there are examples of all four of those, of course.
Yeah. You mentioned this book earlier.
Yeah.
And your American client, where do people find it?
Right. Okay. Well, in 2012, I thought I better write a book on how to do this. Went home, and the book literally is about all the brave men and women who've actually taken this framework, and that's a distillation of all that they've done with it.
Yeah.
You know, because you were at the party, this is now the second edition. It came out 2023, and it's an updated one. So I think there are some improvements in that sense. And it's more modernized and more global. Yeah. You know, not everyone's heard of Mpumalanga, for example, who isn't South African. You can get it directly from us. Okay. In South Africa anyway. Yeah. And for people overseas, we've got in our London premises, we've also got books there. And then people can get it on Amazon. Great. Yeah.
You know, as you know, I am a huge fan of your work. I'm a huge fan of Wendy's as well. And I've gifted this to thousands and thousands of people, as I keep telling you.
I understand you've just gifted it to somebody in the room here.
Oh yes, every one of them in here and more received a copy as well.
We're going to have to send you another few hundred.
Yeah. So Wendy, thank you very much for your time. Our final question. I give magic wands to everybody that comes on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you one. Where are you going to deploy your magic wand? What would you do?
What do I wish was different?
Yes.
And this hasn't changed. I would wish that people would stop this insane measurement of the results. And because the results don't change other than by good or bad luck, They change by people making more of a contribution. Okay. And everywhere we go, with one notable exception, these people in organizations are measured out of existence. They spend more time reporting on the KPIs, of which there are hundreds, than actually doing the work. And one person confessed to me in fashion retail, my manager, area manager, she's a store manager, phones me every day, will you stop doing that? Asking for what are sales. So this area manager, whose report I was speaking to, said, no, we don't ask every day, every hour. I said, well, then when do you ask? He says, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. So I said, all right, every 2 hours then. And, you know, it's not only a distraction and a waste of time, it strikes fear into people. And that's the one thing. And the final thing, my one exception, which is this incredible little company in Stellenbosch it's an AI company called Spatial Edge. I'd like to name them. We've got a case study on them. They don't have KPIs. They have one measure only. That measure is how much does the IT work that we do for our clients, what does that save them? Because the purpose of any business is supposed to be what your business does for the people you're serving.